All right. Yeah, let's get this timer out of here. We're not waiting another 3 minutes. All right. Welcome. What's going on? My name is Kevin McKellar. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are live, thank you for being here. If you are on a replay, thank you for watching. And what is tonight? Well, tonight is a first of many monthly live workshops that I'm going to be doing called Upgrade Your Month. And it's ultimately going to revolve around a topic of the system that I use called ritual design. What is ritual design? First, before we even get into what ritual design is, I want to thank you for being here. If you are watching this, just leave a comment. Let me know, say hello, say where you're from. And what I want to do is you could start leaving comment by saying, what are the goals that you might have already set this year? It's January 4th, 2021. Thank God. And you've probably, if you haven't maybe set a goal, maybe you set an intention, which we'll kind of talk about those differences as well. But leave a comment. What is it? And if you feel like you don't want to necessarily, if it's a little private for you, that's okay. But, if you feel comfortable leaving a comment, we'll talk about specifically your goals and maybe ways we can improve them a little bit. So before we kind of get into it, like I said, a comment would be great just so I can know that you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up or whatever. If I look over there, it's just I'm looking at the monitor. And to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, actually, before we even get into a backstory, I want to give you an agenda of kind of what's happening tonight and kind of what this workshop's going to be. It's probably going to be around 30 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the S.M.A.R.T.E.R goal framework. So basically, you've probably heard of SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. But there's other versions of that. And we're going to talk about ways you can use the other versions of the S.M.A.R.T.E.R framework. Then we're going to talk about how we might want to revise our goals looking at domains in our life. Because a lot of times we're so granularly focused on what we want to achieve that we're not thinking about ourselves, our mental state, our emotional state, our physical well-being. And all those are drivers to actually get us to maybe, a career goal or whatever it may be. Okay, so just a little housekeeping. Let me make sure we can get some comments on here. I want to switch camera view over here, and I'm going to get this out of here as well. I apologize about that. All right, so let's see if we have some comments here, and I'm like getting blind here. I can't even see. Let's see here. We got some 5 viewers. Thank you very much for jumping on. Okay. What is happening? There we go. Okay. I have this open. There we go. That's why. Okay. So, give me 1 second. Let's see if we can get the comment list up here. Once again, thank you guys for jumping on tonight's live stream. We'll get into it in just a second. I'm typing on the wrong keyboard. That would probably be why nothing's happening. Let's see. Beautiful. There we go. I got the screen up. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you for sticking around. So let me switch back here. Get a little better view. Okay, cool. So let's kind of get into, I want to give you a little backstory of kind of what Upgrade is about if you haven't, heard of this this platform before and kind of what I'm trying to do with a system called ritual design. So about 7 years ago, I got really head first into personal development, trying to become a better version of myself, ultimately from just sheer crap in my life, just going down a really bad path of just really, poor, poor habits, poor mindsets. And it was really an instant that I just made the shift and I said, wow, hold on. I'm completely accountable for everything that happens in my life, no matter what, right? Obviously, I can get hit by a bus tomorrow. I'm not talking about that stuff, but the stuff that I want to make happen. So I was actually in Belgium for studying for my music career, and I was at the Royal Liège Conservatory, and I had such crisis. I was in a country I couldn't even speak the language. I was there to do one thing, to become a better musician, and I realized to become a better musician, I need to do a lot more. I need to work on, my physical well-being. I need to be able to, actually breathe into, I play the tuba, by the way. I need to be able to breathe into this thing. I need to have a clear mindset when I'm on stage. And all this stuff became really so all-encompassing. I just was so, because of the fact that I saw such a great improvement in everything I was doing, and I said, wow, I can really apply all these different tactics in every facet of my life. And this shifted into basically every thing I approach, everything I look at, whether it's a job, whether it's music, whether it's obviously upgrade, it's from a place of development where I know I could become a better version of myself, right? So that's kind of where this all was born. And it really boiled down to the minutes in the days. Right? What are you spending your time on? What are you spending your hours of, upon hours every day? And there's so many different little fringe hours that I realized that really could be, if, honed in, could really be used to, catapult whatever productivity you want. So that's what ultimately led me to my own system called Ritual Design. And this is a system of daily routines and things that either hurt this system of routines you have or things that really help it along, called the actuator and the clog. And then, of course, the things that you want to put in a routine, but maybe you do only on a Saturday, the variable routine, as well as the things that we do every week, once a week, that locks us in, which is called the keystone. Now, I just threw a whole bunch of terms at you. We're not going to go over that tonight. I just wanted to ultimately let you know that this is this system that I've created and has worked really, really well for me. I am nowhere near an expert. I am not the guy who leverages. Actually, in fact, I'm the guy who is lazy by nature. I really am, and I mean that. So that's why I'd much rather watch Marvel movies all day versus, try to work on something. That's just my nature. So I needed a system in place that I can really, have almost as an automated machine, right? So that's that. This is, by the way, not a sales pitch. I'm going to show you what all this is actually all encompassing. I am not selling you anything. I am announcing a planner that I've created with Ritual Design in it. That's what these live, workshops came, about from. I said, you know what? I want to announce this. I want to make sure that, I'm excited. I'm really proud of it. We'll talk about this later, but I don't care whether or not you buy this. This is something that I'm just kind of happy that Ritual Design now is boiled into a quarterly planner. So we'll talk about that later on, but why don't we get right into the workshop tonight? So that's kind of where I am. You know a little bit about me and Upgrade right now. Like I said, any questions, please leave them in the comments, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sporadically jump in and look at them, and we'll walk through some of your goals together if you'd like. Like I said, if you're not, if you're embarrassed or maybe it's a personal thing, no worries. But let's do this. Let's get right into it. So I want to talk about first the SMART-ER goal framework. Now, like I said, you might have heard of this before, right? The SMART goal framework, right? We'll kind of spell it out right now. So basically, we have the SMART-ER framework. And this is a really, really easy way to make sure that you're setting not only juicy goals, but goals that you can actually achieve. Because a lot of times, how many times have we been in a position where you said to yourself on January 1st, I'm going to lose 40 pounds this year. And, you lost 40 pounds, but then you gained it and lost it and gained it and lost it, So like, it's just impossible. No. It's probably because you may have not used this framework. So let's go through it. So SMART-ER, this is for the S is specific. So your goals gotta be specific. It's gotta be in a situation where you say, and we're gonna use examples too. Like, all right, so for instance, let's use weight loss because that's pretty common. It's a common goal for most of us, right? So, or weight gain for the matter. So specific. If you say, I wanna lose weight, that's really vague, right? But when you say, I wanna lose 20 pounds, that's really, really, really specific. Or you can say, I want to gain 15 pounds of muscle. I want to lose 2 inches off my waist. Now we're getting really, really specific. So why don't we do this? Let's pick one, and we'll kind of work on this together. Let's say I need to lose some weight, right? So let's say I want to lose 30 pounds, right? So let's say lose 30 pounds this year, right? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. So then we got specific. I know I got to be 30 pounds. When I step on that scale, it's got to be 30 pounds less than what I am, okay? Next one, measurable. So your goal has to be measurable. We have to figure out a way if we have lost that. Now with this is really easy, right? How do we lose, how do we measure our weight loss? Well, we hop on the scale. Now, what's really cool is that, this is 2021. We've got really cool scales out there that measure your BMI, your body fat percentage, your lean muscle mass, like all this crazy stuff with all these handles and everything. So if you actually do want to lose some weight, check out these really wild scales. Actually, if you want a really good resource for that, Dr. Chris Parks. He is a primal health coach, and he's got all those resources on his website, Dr. Chris Parks. So, all right, next one. Attainable. Oop. Okay. I think I spelled that right. Attainable. Now, if you say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds this year, you could do it. My brother-in-law lost 145, I'm not kidding you, 145 pounds in 9 months. He did that through the keto diet. He was blown away. Blew me away. So instead of saying, for the mere humans and mortals out there, instead of saying 100 pounds, right, we drop it down and we say something attainable, okay? So obviously I'm going to be 30 pounds, right? Cool. Makes sense so far. If it makes sense, say yes in the comment. I want to see you guys saying, all right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. All right. Next one. Relevant. This has to be a relevant goal to what you're trying to do. So, for instance, if you are trying to lose weight, right, and you say to yourself, well, I want to lose, 2 inches off my waist size. Well, it's really not relevant because nobody's coming up to you and saying, measure your, no one's measuring your waist size. It doesn't matter. Your waist size doesn't mean and doesn't matter when you're 75, 85 years old and you've either lived a healthy life or you haven't lived a healthy life. Waist size doesn't matter, right? I don't even know. I think I dropped the waist size just generally, but I don't know. I think I put it back. It doesn't really matter, right? So again, we want to think about specifics and make it relevant. So relevant to your goal. If your goal is to feel, healthy, to feel better, to live healthier, then you're just looking at the pounds coming off, right? Okay, now, time bound. This is probably one of the most specific ones next to specific, right? You have to have an end date in mind, right? You have to figure out when you actually will complete this goal by. So if you say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, right? It doesn't give you an end date. Now you could say, I want to lose 30 pounds in the next quarter. I want to lose 30 pounds by July. I want to lose 30 pounds by the end of the year. So let's just say by July 4th, perfect date, right? You go into the July 4th barbecues, right? And you want to look better. Great. Okay, whatever, right? Okay, so far with this, what we have here, right, is a sentence, and I'm going to write it out. Okay. So far we have, I will lose 30 pounds by July 4th. So that right there encompasses pretty much all of this because we went through it, right? We went through and made sure that, okay, we can measure that. Just step on the scale. That's simple. It's pretty attainable, right? 30 pounds in six months or so. That is, what is it, 5 pounds a month? 5, 10, 15, yeah, so it's 5 pounds a month. That's not too bad, right? That's not too hard. It is relevant, right? It actually matters. Your weight actually matters for your health, right? And if you want to look good, whatever it is. And we have an end date for when that's going to end. Now, that makes sense, right? That's clear. That's concise. Very cool. Oop, drop the marker. But we have 2 more to go over. Here's what's kind of cool is that these last 2, the E and the R, come at the end of July 4th. So on July 5th, what you're going to do is you're going to I can't spell. Evaluate. See if you actually did it, right? Hop on the scale and then revise. So you're going to evaluate and revise. Now, there are other smarter frameworks that they go with, like you have to make it excited and something else for the R. I like this version. Maybe I made this up. I don't really know, but I really like this version because now this goal is just not a one-time thing, right? It's part of a bigger system, is ultimately what we're going to talk about in a second. But now, if we evaluate what happened, we actually put on July 5th. Okay, July 5th, I'm going to say we're going to hop on the scale. Did I take off 30 pounds? Yes or no? Yes, you're good, right? If you accomplish the goal and you lost 30 pounds by July 5th. What I want you to do is when you evaluate, you have to evaluate what worked. So even though it worked, you have to figure out what worked, right? You have to know and get clear on what you're going to replicate for the next time. Maybe you want to lose some more weight. Maybe you want to gain some muscle. You have to figure out the things that got you there because sometimes they may be just the things that you didn't expect would get you there, right? Maybe in your diet plan, you did all these great things, but really the fact that you stopped eating ice cream was like the 20% that made 80% of the difference, right? So you also have to figure out now if it doesn't work and you say you only lost 20 pounds, still congratulations, all right? Then you have to figure out what didn't. What didn't work? We have to know why we failed so we can actually revise the plan and try it again. Now, in the revision is pretty simple, right? Do you want to adjust that goal? So if you only lost 5 pounds in 6 months, you want to drop that a little bit, right? We want to drop it to maybe 20 pounds, okay? You guys say that's pretty clear. Okay, you can see that. Good. You want to revise it, make sure that it is attainable, right? Go through this system again, change it up if you want. But this S.M.A.R.T.E.R framework has worked really, really well for me. Now, before we go into the next section, I want to talk about just 2 things. One, I want to talk about the difference between an intention and a goal. If you go through this system and you make your goal specific, you can measure it. You can hit it, right? It's relevant to what you actually want to achieve, the real, purpose. It's time bound. You're going to evaluate and revise it. Then you've got yourself a goal. But an intention is a little bit different. An intention just says, I don't know, I want to feel better. That's none of this. That's an intention. If you said on January 1st, and you say, you know what? I'm going to lose some weight. You intend to lose the weight, right? You didn't actually set a goal, and that's okay. I do that all the time. I make intentions all the time, right? Whether or not I'm going to hit it is a different story. This is an actually goal-setting process. Now, the second thing I want to mention is this. For all my, last 7 years, I've been devoted to really, my daily routines, progressing as a human being, trying to be a better version of myself. Every time January 1st rolled around and that arbitrary date, I made goals. I said, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to build it, whatever, right? But this year, I'm not doing yearly goals. I'm doing quarterly goals. And I'll tell you why. I'm in a very creative world. I, run a business. I'm in digital marketing. I'm a musician. I do all these things that are creative. So the creative mindset often is a lot of revision, a lot of evaluating and revision and revising what you ultimately want to have happen. So with that being said, I every year I have always found myself getting to a place where 6 months, 9 months, 12, 8 months, whatever it is, I found myself that the goals I set from January 1st didn't actually apply anymore. I wasn't doing that. I was moved to this, right? Or that was void and null because XYZ, whatever it is. So I'm actually experimenting with quarterly goals this year, and I invite you to do the same, because I think a year in this world we live in, whether you're creative or not, I think a year is a long time. I think, that's the solstice and everything, but for productivity and for goal achievement, I think it's just way too long, my personal opinion. So I'm going to try quarterly goals this year. I invite you to join me on that. That's just something that, you and I can kind of do together. Okay. Now, the next step for tonight's workshop, what we're going to talk about is domains. Now, you probably haven't heard of domains before, and domains are very cool because domains are what fuel your goals and kind of what give them direction, all right? And before we get into this, what I want to do is I just want to check something right here. I appreciate your patience. I want to make sure that we have everything working, only because of the fact that I don't have my computer right in front of me. So give me 1 second. There we go. Let's just make sure everything's coming in. I appreciate your patience because I'm excited to get into domains. Cool. All right, everything's working. Good. Okay, so let's get into domains. So what this is what actually fuels your goal. So let's take a look at something different now. Instead of weight loss, let's think of a goal revolving around your career, right? Let's say I want to get promoted. So let's make a in the digital world. I want to get promoted to account manager by the end of the year. And let's see if I made that specific. So I want to get promoted to account manager, right? If I get account manager, I know I hit the goal. It's specific. I know what it is, right? It's attainable because I'm not trying to shoot for CFO here. I'm just shooting for the next level up, right? Account manager. It is relevant to what I'm doing because I'm an associate account manager right now, just kind of making some stuff up, right? And by the end of the year, so that's great. It's time bound, and I can evaluate and revise it later. Cool. So here's what's interesting is that goal is simply dedicated to one domain of your life, and that's work. I'm going to call it work. You can call it career. You can call it, profession, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. We can call it work. That's just one area of your life. And I guarantee now you're already knowing kind of what the word domains is referring to. I can already tell your wheels are turning and saying, all right, so I know where he's going with this. Do my goals reach all of the domains of my life to create a holistic version of myself, right? Maybe not. So let's think of some other domains. If you think of a domain, leave it in the comment, whether you're watching this now, even on the replays, leave a comment so I know that you're kind of thinking through this stuff, right? Another common domain is your physical well-being, right? Cool. So are you healthy? Are you strong? Are you flexible? Are you eating the right stuff to, so you feel energized? This is a big part of your life, right? And here's why this is important. Because if you want to set work goals, your career goals, how do you think You're going to be able to put more time in the office, be more efficient while you're working, think of creative ways to get that promotion if your brain is not working, right? If you're eating crap, if you're not working out, if you're tired every day you wake up, the answer is you're not going to be able to. It's just not going to work anywhere near as efficient. Now, there was something else I just said, right? We're going to go on the list of domains. And again, this is just me thinking up some domains right now. This is very personal to you. Another one may be your mental state, right? Your mental well-being, your mental state. And I actually categorize that separately from your emotional state. Emotional. I can't spell when I'm looking at the board. So these already are going through a couple of different domains. Now, I'm going to actually break out work into another one, right? Your financial part of your life. Because here's what's really crazy. You can gain more financial freedom and not necessarily excel at work. You can get really into investing, long-term, day trading, whatever it is. You can start flipping stuff on eBay from, 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. You can, you could build a side hustle on countless different things online. There is all different ways that you can separate these out, right? But here are just, like I said, a few different things. A big one that's really important to me is family. So family is probably one of the biggest domains, and it's sometimes one of the, I don't want to say hardest, but it's sometimes one of the most overlooked because all of this stuff is way more urgent, right? But not necessarily as important as family. So when this urgent stuff comes first, which is a whole nother conversation, this takes precedence and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I should spend more time with my kids. Oh yeah, I should go see mom, So this is, I think, pretty important. There's, like I said, there's countless others, but here is the real cool part of this, right? The cool part of this is how we can actually track this. So check this out. All right. I'm going to, I'm going to erase this and I'll rewrite it in a way that I like to track it. So you might have seen this before, you might have not, but the way I like to track domains in my life is called the Wheel of Life. All right. So I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's just true. So what I do is I just draw a circle. That was a pretty good circle. I'm pretty proud of that. And say I have 6 domains. Actually, I just did list 6 domains out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this into 6 semi-even planes here. All right, that's pretty good. I got some perception going on here. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to list them out. So let's see. Let's do financial. Let's do family. Let's do mental, emotional. All right. Let's do work. And there was one that I was missing. I don't remember what I wrote. Family, mental, emotional. Oh, physical, right. Okay. Okay, so now what I do is pretty simple. However often you want to track this. This doesn't need to be tracked often. I mean, for me, I do this once a quarter, but I kind of keep score. And what I do is I score, okay, out of 10, right? How do I think I'm doing with my relationships with my family, right? Or maybe just relationships in general. So say out of 10, I think I've got an 8, right? What I do is, let me use a blue here. I basically just think of these little tick marks, right? So say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the top would be 10. And basically I just draw kind of like a line like this around. Yeah, approximate. This is not a Picasso here, right? So basically now I know that I filled in, okay, I've got basically almost the whole way up to 8, right? But my mental clarity, right? I just feel so overwhelmed. I just feel like, I don't know, I'm not clear throughout the day. I'm stressed, right? And whatever. Well, stress would be emotional, but I give myself, say, a 5. Okay. I'm not going to do this the whole way. I'm just going to show you an example. And then with my tick marks here, I know that the 5 is going to be basically halfway through here. So I'm going to draw my line here now. Okay. Now, what happens is I go through this whole wheel and I score myself. And I say, all right, let's figure out kind of what this whole wheel looks like. All right. So basically, I'm going to just draw some random lines here. Okay. My physical is real bad, right? I'll go down here, whatever. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll go around it and I'll make it thicker. And I'll go through all the lines here. And then I'll kind of just fill in a little bit, right? If I can get my marker right. I'll fill in. All right, there we go. A real kind of sloppy, rough fill in here. Okay, cool. Now, if you could track this line here, right, as the wheel that's driving a car, you know that you're going to have a really bumpy ride. Right? Like, you just know you're going to have a really bumpy ride with something like this. So, this is a great visual representation of what it is like to think about your goals from a holistic point of view. Like, for me, I can't just be driven through a one-track mindset. Like, I know that the way my mental clarity and the way I can see the world and perceive the world affects my emotional state. And when I'm emotionally happy and grateful, that affects my workouts. Totally. I feel great, right? And when all this stuff is usually happening, my work and my financial future is usually in tandem doing pretty well because I'm actually doing things that make a difference. So this is all really important to be holistic and think about you as the human being, not you as the musician or you as the think of a career, the truck driver, I don't care, whatever it is, right? Whatever thing you do and thing you want to achieve, you got to look at yourself first as a person. And this is not fluffy. This is just truth. Because when you do this, right, when you think about these domains, you actually craft many more goals, right? And then you craft them in a way that is all in tandem, right? So this is basically a real easy kind of workshop for tonight. I invite you guys to do this and to try this and revise maybe those January 1st goals that you've made. Make sure they're smarter, right? And see if you can add or maybe take away some of these goals that are irrelevant and make sure that that wheel of life is a little bit more complete, if you will. Because ultimately, if we can get close to a really rounded wheel of life, even if they're all 5 or 6 or 7, right? It doesn't have to be 10. You're going to roll down the road a little bit easier, right? You're going to roll through problems a little bit easier in your life. And I have a first-hand experience at that being absolute fact. So one way, again, this is, like I said in the beginning, this is not a sales pitch. This is just something that I want to acknowledge and celebrate a little bit because I'm really excited about this. All this stuff, we're going to continue to talk about all this stuff is in here. Like, this is why I think it's really easy because you needed, like, everybody needs a system, like in a way to actually put this stuff down here. Let's see if I can get to I want to just show you the end here. Like, in the back of this planner is the quarterly review. Let's see if I can open this up. Do this with one hand. I need a better mic situation the next time. And here we go. So if you guys can see the quarterly review, the wheel of life is right there, right? So this really, I think, is something that I'm just super proud of because I wanted to formulate something that you guys can hold tangible in your hands. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a comment and I'm going to leave the link. If you guys want it, great. If you don't, no worries. That's, like I said, there's no sales pitch here. I'm just celebrating the fact that it's coming out in the beginning of February. These live workshops will continue indefinitely. This is a once a month workshop that I'm going to pick a section of ritual design and really teach you guys what it is, like why it's worked for me. If you've got a better idea, please share it with me. I'd love to hear it. And that's it. I mean, that's it for today. I'm going to kind of pop on some music here as we say goodbye. Thank you guys so much for jumping in. If you like this, please follow me on social media. Like follow Upgrade My Rituals on Instagram, on wherever you consume, YouTube, whatever it is. And if you know somebody that is looking to be a little bit more productive, set goals in a better way, achieve something that they're trying to achieve, start a business, whatever it is, forward my stuff to them because I think I can help. I think just having this conversation helps because ultimately, this is an experiment, right? Like I'm the last person to say I know everything and I know this will work for you. I just know it's worked really, really well for me, like really well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next month on the Upgrade My Month workshop, which will be February, sometime right in the beginning of the month. I'll let you guys know. So thanks so much, and I'll see you guys soon.